Hi, welcome to lessonswithtroy.com. I'm Troy Meyer. Well, this is going to be volume number 6 for my basics for the E9 tuned 10-string pedal steel guitar. And what we're going to be doing in this lesson is I'm going to be covering this diagram that I've made for the E9 pedal steel. Now, this is real similar to volume number 3, right? In volume number 3, we worked with major, minor, and dominant 7th chords, but we only worked in one key. So that diagram, when you look back, that's just for the key of G. And I made a diagram similar to this for the Hudson 6-string pedal steel, and I've had some requests for me to do it for the E9 10-string pedal steel. So I went ahead and did that. So this is a great way to see all the keys as opposed to just one key. Up here, as you can see, we have all the keys written. And this is a real, like I said, easy, intuitive way to see where these chords are. And also for future lessons, I hope to use this as a template to show you lots of other chords that you can play on pedal steel. Okay, so let me just start from the top, and I'll describe exactly what you're seeing here. If you're totally confused, hopefully by the end of this, you'll understand a lot more. And if you've bought the lesson, that comes with a PDF, as well as this video that you're watching, of this diagram that you can print out. And, I suggest maybe get some nice photo quality paper, glossy, and it'll look great when you print it out. Okay, so let's go ahead and start here at the very top. This is just the title. And then if you go over here to the left-hand side, this is kind of the key to what the pedals and levers are going to be doing. So the pedal steel that I'm using has what's called the Emmons setup to it, as opposed to the Day setup. And I've talked about this in the other lessons. But basically what that means is your A, B, and C pedals are going to go from left to right. Okay, and this describes what those pedals do. And like I said, we went over this in previous lessons. The A pedal raises your B strings up a whole step. Your B pedal raises your G sharp strings up a half step. And this is actually the first time we're going over the C pedal, and I decided to put that in down here where you're pushing down on B and your B and C pedals, and it's giving you these minor chords. We'll go over that ahead in the lesson. Okay, so the C pedal, what it's going to do is it's actually going to change two strings. It's going to raise your 4th string, which is your E string, and it's also going to raise your 5th string, which is your B string, up a whole step. Okay, so that's what happens. That's what the C pedal is going to do. Okay, and down here with the levers, I've decided to take some advice that I've been given to describe the levers instead of right knee right or left knee left or all that kind of stuff, is describe them with letters. So your E lever is going to lower your E strings a half step, and your F lever is going to raise your E strings a half step. Okay, so my suggestion is just to find which levers are going to do this on your pedal steel, because it may be different on yours. So that's the advice I was given was, don't say right knee left, left knee left, left knee right, because it may be different on other people's pedal steels. So this is just an easier way to describe the levers. So just figure out which one of your levers are going to lower your E strings a half step and which lever raises your E strings, and just go with that. Okay, now this is the fingerboard of your pedal steel. And for most of these chords, you're going to be grabbing just your standard grips. So that's what's written here with the red dots. Okay. Now, let's say we take open here, that's 0. And by the way, your frets are going left to right. Okay. And this is the tuning of your pedal steel. These are each strings, where your 10th string is your thickest string, all the way up to your 1st string being the thinnest string. And the way you want to read this diagram is you want to read it in columns and rows. Okay, let's talk about the columns. The columns go up and down, and they follow the frets. Okay, where 0 means open. That means there's no fret, just open. 1st fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret. So open, let's just start there with this E. If we follow that straight down and we play what's any Any of these red dots, if we've got 3 fingers, so if we grab any 3 of these dots, that's going to give us different what's called inversions of this E major chord. Okay, and that's, if we go over to the left and we go over to this row here, that's what's called open. We're not pushing down on any pedals or doing anything with levers. And by doing that and following whatever fret you're on, this going left to right here, this tells you what chords you're going to be getting. Okay, so open gives you an E chord. Up a half step or 1 fret to your first fret gives you an F chord. Okay, keep going. What I've done here to kind of simplify this is all your natural, let's say, chords or the natural notes, meaning no sharps or flats, right? I've got in bold black. And then chords where they're going to have sharps or flats in the chord, or at least in the root note of the chord, like an F sharp chord or a G flat chord, I've got those in red. And that's just to help you understand where your half steps, the chords that are right next to each other, where those fall. And otherwise, it would really overcomplicate this diagram. So that's why some of these are in bold black and then some are in red. The red is what's called your accidentals, F sharp, G sharp, all that kind of stuff with either a sharp or flat after the title. Okay, now if we go down, still following this 0 open. Okay, now this gives us right here, pushing down, if we go over here to this row, pushing down on the A and the B pedal, it gives us our 4 chord in the key of E, gives us an A chord. Okay, and then if you follow this row here, and what that does is that matches up with whatever fret you're on, and it gives you that chord if you're pushing down on these pedals. Notice with the pedals, I have arrows pointing on what pedals you're pushing down, and they're in red. The gray pedal, that means you're not doing anything with that. You're not pushing that down. So you're only pushing down on what's in the red with the arrows over top of it. Pretty simple, right? Okay, so same thing. I just have all the chords, the natural chords, no sharps or flats in the root note, written in bold black, and then in between there are your sharps and your flats. Now, if we keep going down, let's move over to the key of G here, because what you can see here is as you move down, you can see all your different chords in the key of G, just straight on down from that 3rd fret. Right, where if pushing down on your A and your B pedal gives you your 4 chord. Okay, now this kind of gets out of the key of G, but it gives you a different, it gives you a major chord, an E, which isn't in the key of G. But if you push your A pedal down and your F lever, now let's go up here, or actually I put it right here. Your F lever raises your E strings a half step. So you're pushing your F lever and you're pushing down just on your A pedal. And that's going to give you all these major chords. So let's go back to this E. And a good way to understand what these chords are in relation to your open chords is if you go 1, 2, 3 frets up from your major chord open, and you push your A pedal down and your F lever, that's going to give you another inversion of that major chord. Notice the E chord here is just 3 frets up from our open E. Same thing in this G chord is 1, 2, 3 frets up from our open G. Okay, so that's a neat way to get another major chord. And let's talk about major chords for just a second here. I know that I've went over this in other lessons, but it's to me it's really useful. Okay, notice this G chord here. We have a G chord open. If we go 3 frets up to our 6th fret, come down here, we've got this G chord by pushing our A pedal and F lever. And then notice this G here on our 10th fret, pushing the A and B pedals. And then another G, which would be an octave up from our open G. And then same thing, 3 frets up, A pedal, F lever, gives you this G. This is real important when you're wanting to do all those inversion slides, where you're sliding from one G to a higher G as you go up. It's really important to understand what you're doing here with your pedals and levers, but that's a good way to start practicing this particular grouping here, the A pedal, F lever. Okay, G chord here, up 3 frets, G chord here, go up to your 10th fret, another G chord. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about our minor chords now. Okay, still, let's keep in this key of G. Coming right on down here. Okay, and notice this. We just played an E major here, A pedal, F lever. Now, if we go down to the next chord, and we don't push that F lever, but we just push the A pedal, right? A pedal, but no F lever. That's going to give us an E minor chord. So this is real important. Notice E major and E minor. That's a cool way of having a real, a lot of times you'll take a major chord and it'll be nice to, right under your fingers, be able to play that chord in a minor version. And this is the way to do it. If you get that chord with your A pedal, F lever, just take off your, let off your F lever, just A pedal, and that gives you that version of that chord in a minor format. Okay, now, notice how I don't have the sharps or flats written here, but they're implied, okay? For example, that's what this red line would be. If you move E minor back a half step, 1 fret, right? That would be an E flat minor. But I didn't want to put that in there because it would get way too busy. So I just decided to make the what's called accidentals, make those implied. Okay, so but they are there. If you move D up a half step or 1 fret, that's D sharp. Move E back a half step or 1 fret, that's E flat. Same thing. F up 1 fret, F sharp. G back 1 fret, G flat. Okay, a fancy word for that is what's called enharmonic tones or chords. It's chords that sound completely the same but are spelled different, enharmonic. Okay, so let's keep going down. Okay, now if you just push the E lever, okay, which lowers your E strings a half step, that's going to give you these minor chords right here. Okay, and if we consider this to be the root of our key, right, the key of G, and we keep coming down, we've got our 1 chord with the G chord, we've got our 4 chord with the C chord, we've got a major 6 chord, we've got a minor 6 chord, and we've got our minor 3 chord, and if we keep going down here, we even got our 2 chord, our A minor, and then keep going down, we've got our 5 chord, our D7 chord, all on the same fret. Isn't that cool? You're not even moving your bar and you get all these different chords. Okay, let's talk about this row now. Okay, notice how this is the first time where we're getting away from our common grips that we've been working with. And if I specifically wrote what strings to grab to give you these chords by pushing your B and your C pedal down. So no levers yet, just B and C pedal. Okay, if you grab strings 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, that would be 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, and then you push your B and your C pedal, that can give you these minor chords. So that's something new we haven't really talked about yet, but that's an interesting way to get a 2 chord, let's say, with G being your root note or open root note position. Okay, let's keep going down. Now this is real important. If you want to get your 5 chord in a position where you're not even moving your bar and you want to get what's called a dominant 7th chord, that's simply a major triad with a flatted 7th stacked on top of it. Okay, so in the key of G, D is our 5 chord, and if you put what's called a dominant 7th on there, or in this case it'd be the note C, you get a D7 chord. Okay, so what you want to do to get that, first off, check out what strings we're grabbing. We're grabbing strings 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10. Granted, you're not going to grab all those at the same time, but you're playing with 3 fingers, let's say, any 3 grabs or 2 grabs, you can grab whatever strings you want, really. And if you push your B pedal down and your E lever, which, let's go up here, E lowers, find the lever that lowers your E strings a half step. Okay, push that, and that's going to give you a nice 5 chord right in position there. Okay, so what I like to do is to think of, let's say, the key of G. We'll just focus on one key right now. I like to think of everything in this position here on our 3rd fret with G, the root of our key, being open, okay? And get everything memorized, where all your minor chords are, where your 4 chord is, all that, get that memorized right there in open position. And then once you get that memorized, I would suggest to go all the way up to your 10th fret, where your root note then is going to be this G, but pushing down on your A and your B pedals. And then start memorizing where your other chords are, your minor chords, your major chord, your 4 and your 5 chords are in relation to this being your root, right? Your 10th fret position, G root. Okay, notice, let's think about the minor chords for a second here. Okay, let's say our 6 chord. That's a common chord you'd play in the key of G. You'd get that in open position by pushing your A pedal down. Well, let's figure out how to get it up here on your 10th fret position. Okay, so there's G. What we're going to do is we're just going to follow this all the way down until we run into our E minor chord. There it is. Okay, and then we go over here to our left. Okay, cool. Well, if we grab strings 3, any combination of strings 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, and pushing down our B and our C pedal, that's going to give us a nice E minor chord. Okay, and let's go up here and notice, if you see here, we have an E minor chord that would be, let's see, you can use these kind of as frets too. This would be G, there's back 1 fret, so back 2 frets, back to our 8th fret, gives us an E minor chord, our 6th chord in the key of G, if we just push our E lever. If we just lower our E strings a half step. Okay, so that's what I'm working on, at least, with trying to memorize, simplify the pedal steel, is think about it in this position, open position, and also in position, pushing my A and my B pedal down. Now there's also another position here, this G chord position, where you got your A pedal and your F lever, raising that E string a half step. And you can do the same thing. Try to find your 1, 4, and your 5 chords in relation to this kind of a position here. That E minor chord would then be up 2 frets from this position. So a lot of information here, and a lot of the stuff you probably already had. I know what's new is thinking of the levers as our E and our F lever, as opposed to LKL and all that. But I think for some of you out there with levers that wouldn't match up to what I was describing, this is a simpler way to think of that. And this is new too, using our C pedal down and trying to get these minor chords. I know I haven't talked about that yet. And yeah, let's see if there's anything else on here to explain. I think that should be good. So yeah, so if you bought the lesson, I suggest to print this out and set it on a stand in front of you and just go through this and try to get all these positions memorized. And if you're jamming along, with a CD or with the band, and you know what key you're in, a real simple way is just use this chart, find the key, and then boom, bring it down, and you've got your different chords for that particular key. Okay, so I hope that really helped, and we'll see you on the next lesson. Thanks. Talk to you later.